What is up, maniacs? Welcome to Broadened Horizon. I'm your host, Drake Riggs, here to bring you episode 26. Ryzen 42 and Ryzen Landmark 5 are right around the corner, and our three guests are all in action at the Landmark event. Returning to the ring after a stint with the UFC is heavyweight Roque Martinez, who goes head-to-head with Tsuyoshi Sudario and joins us first on this episode. After Martinez, Olympic silver medalist wrestler Shinobu Ota previewed his matchup against Kazuma Kuramoto. Lastly, Luiz Gustavo joins us before he gears up for his big-time bout at lightweight against Koji Takeda. Thanks as always to all the guests for chatting, and thanks to everyone who has supported the show, and a special thanks to those who submitted questions at the end. Whether you've been watching on MMAmania.com or YouTube, or listening on Spotify, don't forget to hit like and share if you enjoy. Let's get rolling. Kicking things off, it's Guam's own Roque Martinez. All right, what's up, Roque, man? How you doing?
Oh, good. How you doing?
Can't complain. A little tired, but I did this to myself, so I'm happy to be here, brother. Happy to talk to you. How's the day been, man? How is everything going right now over there? Just in general, life in general, man.
Man, life's been actually really good lately, man. Just been busy, opening a gym and training for this fight. Just got a lot of stuff going on, but it's I'm just blessed to be able to, so can't complain.
Yeah, very exciting, man. I mean, how recent is this gym opening?
I've been using the gym, so I've been using the gym for my personal training camp, probably for a little over a month.
Okay.
But just last week, I finally got like all my mats in. I got my ring in, so it's looking pretty nice now. I'm looking forward to running my classes. Hopefully soon after I get back from my fight, like in early to mid May. So yeah, it's definitely been keeping me busy. But yeah, it's turning out pretty nice. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, that's super cool. I can imagine. I mean, is this kind of something you've been wanting to do for a while, or is it just like kind of fell into your lap and here you go?
Yeah, well, it's a little bit of both because I've been on and off with wanting to do a gym, and then man, this one just worked out perfectly with another business I was running, and also it helped that my mom was she's actually a property manager and real estate broker, so a location popped up, and it was just perfect timing, I guess, and it all worked out. So yeah, it was a little bit of both, from everything from on and off with wanting to do a gym, and then something pops up. So it's just kind of like I guess it was a sign to do it.
Yeah. All lined up perfectly. And are you still doing insurance stuff? Right? I know you were in the insurance world for a bit.
Yes, actually, I still do that as I actually kind of monitor the like homeowners insurances to make sure customer over that keeps me fairly busy as well. So I just got a pretty busy schedule, and also I started late 2021. I started another business that I work as a vendor, and I bid for public and private schools. Like I supply their sporting equipment and stuff
Okay.
like that. So something else that keeps me busy, and also helped with the start of my gym too. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a pretty busy schedule.
Yeah,
But,
no kidding. Juggling, man. I mean, do you like that though? Is it something that you're one of those people who needs always something going on, and you like to focus on multiple things? Or, I mean, I'm sure you got it down by now, but like something you like to have a lot of things going on?
Yeah, I feel like I like to have a lot of things going on, but as I move forward with the gym, I feel like that and fighting is I'm gonna kind of like maybe start focusing on those two a bit more than everything else, so I can. I've heard a lot, that when you try and focus on too many things, you start neglecting certain
Right.
things. Or I'm considering that, and I do want to focus a lot more on my gym and my fighting career in the near future.
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, it takes a lot, right? It demands a lot of focus to be a professional fighter. So I can only imagine kind of having to do all that stuff on top of it, like you're saying. But it's really funny, Roki. Like the first time I discovered you, man, and your career was Ryzen 12 when you were fighting Samurai Mark Hunt, and it was really funny because in that fight and like not knowing who you both were at that time, you look more like the samurai version of Mark Hunt, I thought. So I was like really confused during the whole, commentary, and they were saying who's who. But obviously, great fight, great moment for you there. And I just wanted to ask, man, like with all these things that you are doing now, like you're saying, what got you into MMA in the first place, man? I know Guam, a lot of fighting just there in general, all great fighters that have come out of there. But how did you get into it in the first place, man?
Yeah, so I grew up actually. I competed in wrestling throughout junior high, high school. I wasn't really, I was okay at it. My main focus was football, American football.
Mm,
I did wrestling because it was kind of like the thing you had to do, right? If you wanted to,
yeah.
they or recommended, So I was just, I got into it, and also one of my best friends, he's Mexican. Family, and they're all into boxing, so I was kind of around that a lot.
Mm,
And I used to go with them and watch them fight and to the gym and stuff like that. So I've kind of been around the combat scene. And when I graduated high school, I joined AMC, Pancration under Matt
okay.
Hume,
Hmm.
just to just kind of like train. They're like, hey, let's try it out. And there's two other friends of mine, and I just kind of did it to just try and get in shape, and just train. I had no intention of fighting, um, and I somehow my friends slowly started dropping out of the classes and stopped showing up, and I was still there showing up.
Last man
And even
standing.
at that, yeah, I didn't plan on competing, and Matt Hume asked me if I wanted to try an amateur fight, and I was like, maybe let me just do it to say just to say I've done it, and then that was 2000, I say, and since then I've stuck with it. I fell in love with it and been fighting since. So yeah, it's so funny because I've never thought I was going to be a professional fighter.
Right.
Yeah.
Crazy, man. And so, I mean, you mentioned obviously Matt Human, training there. And I've seen that, unfortunately, you are a Seahawks fan. It appears from what I've seen, at least on your Instagram. I'm from Washington too. So have you spent time over here? Like, have you lived over here? Is that a.
Yes, I actually graduated high school in Washington State, and
Okay.
I graduated at Federal Way High School. Uh, so I lived out there since I moved out there when I was 12. I moved back to Guam when I was 20 after I graduated high
Okay.
school.
All right. Yeah, man. I'm in the
Yeah.
Vancouver area, so I'm kind of down by, the Portland border and everything. So, uh, what a coincidence, right? So,
Oh,
crazy.
okay. I thought that.
Yeah, yeah, it's very very rainy lately. I mean, it's been like the longest winter of all
Yeah.
time, man. I'm ready for a little bit of sun, but that's just how it is in the Pacific Northwest, right? So
Yeah, that's yeah.
it's crazy, crazy stuff. But
Yeah.
man, I mean, for this next fight coming up, though, Roki, like you're getting the guy right. Since you left Rise, and Sudario's kind of become the heavyweight guy in Rise. He's been the reoccurring theme of the heavyweights. Obviously, it's been a little bit hard to get people in the division for Ryzen since the pandemic, but obviously, like you're coming back now, and some other people we're starting to see. But just for you getting to fight a guy like Sudario in the comeback fight, the excitement of your Rise return, like what are all the emotions like for this one, man? Like this is a great return fight, I think, for you.
Oh, yeah, man. It was in 2021, end of 2021, when I got released from the UFC. Man, I was just dealing with a lot of stuff. I had a medical issue I had to take care of. And it was just a rough year in 2021. And finally 2022 came, and I was just having the hardest time getting a fight. And I just kept envisioning something in my head was saying like, man, I'm gonna make it back to, get back into Ryzen. I love fighting there, and I truly believed that I was gonna get back in there. And so when I did get that call to get back in, it was it's something like, man, if you just stick to what you believe, and
Yeah.
it'll come around. Because I love fighting in Japan. I love Ryzen. I love everything they're about. Um, I even turned down with my old management team. They were asking me about PFL,
Mm.
and I wasn't too sure about it, man. I still felt like in my gut I wanted to go back to Japan, at least get back in there first and see what happens. And like a few weeks after that, this is when they actually contacted me about fighting Sidario. So I guess everything just played out, I guess. And I guess I couldn't be happier.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we love watching you in the Rising Ring, man. Like you definitely style fits it, and it's just fun to see the big boys in there anyway. So like with the guy with Sudario, you guys are always finishers anyway. So when you look at him like as an opponent, I don't know. Is there like anything that you would say you haven't seen at this point, Roki? Like, does he bring anything that you think can surprise you or whatnot? Of course, he's known as a sumo guy for his background, right? But I mean, just what do you make of him as your opponent in this one?
Yeah, I don't see anything he brings that I haven't seen, and that's nothing at all against him.
Right.
It's just my career. Shoot, I've been fighting going on 18 years, I believe, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, man, like fought guys like Pro Cop and these guys in the UFC. I don't think he'll have anything that would throw me off. But at the end of the day, a fight's a fight, and anything can happen. So it's one of those things. Like I don't feel he's gonna throw me off with anything,
Yeah.
but it's you just still you have to bring the fight to him, and I have to show up at my best.
Yeah, exactly. You got to expect the unexpected. That's kind of the name of the game to a degree with MMA for sure. But man, like you mentioned the UFC and everything. Like I'm curious, like how do you reflect on the run, man? Because for me, it sucks a little extra when you look at the last fight specifically, and I got to wonder, like, is that extra tough for you to like go out on that one that most people thought you won that fight, against Josh Parisian and all that? Like, just how do you reflect on the stretch you had there?
Yeah, it was rough. I mean, my second fight, it was disappointing for me because it was a guy I felt like I could beat. I didn't. I mean, by no means am I disappointed in that decision with Dontel Mays, but I felt like to be honest, I sucked. Then I come back in that next fight, which I felt like I showed up a lot better. I thought I won, and for sure it was disappointing to be released after that kind of. Uh, so yeah, that one hit hard, man, and it still stings. It really does sting, and it's something that still I'm living with it right now, and
Yeah.
it's kind of been motivating fight actually. It's like I was telling a lot of people I'm putting a lot of pressure on myself for this fight because I have these questions now in my own head, man. Was I as good as I really thought I was? Having that streak in the UFC and getting released that fast. So it's like I kind of have to prove to myself that more than anybody else right now that which is how I do feel like I can compete at a high level.
Hmm.
I'm not saying I'm a world beater, UFC heavyweight champion material, but I feel like I can compete with a lot of the best guys. So for me, yeah, I put a lot of pressure on myself right now after that, especially that run to go out and put on a performance for this fight.
So do you like obviously excited to be back in Rising and all that, but do you hope to get another shot at some point, like whenever that might come, or are you obviously not thinking about that at this exact moment? But is that in the back of your mind still because of the stuff that you mentioned right there?
It's like I don't want to shut that down. It could be Greek and they find interest again, and if it does pop up, who knows? I might be willing and say, hey, man, let's get. So I don't know. I guess it just depends. But I'm kind of the guy that I truly believe everything's meant to whatever's meant to be will be. So whatever comes will come, and I feel like at that point I'll make the right decision and move forward with whatever I need to do in my fighting for.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And like it seems like there's obviously no signs of slowing down or wanting to slow down at this exact moment with the gym and everything, and the more fighting entrenchment, I guess you could say, for you, your life, and your career, and all that. So, are you thinking about like a time limit on how much longer you want to fight and achieve certain goals and whatnot, or is that just one of those things where you're like, man, I'm loving it. You got these new elements with the gym and whatnot. How are you kind of assessing, just I guess the long term, career of Roque Martinez at this stage?
Yeah, if I'm being honest with myself, I don't think I have too much longer in my career. But at the same time, I'm just going by how my body
Right.
feels, kind of like injuries. I mean, I could have the next few fights are like all first round finishes with no damage,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
or it could be vice versa. We
Right.
can have a
There's
beer and
wars
have
with
fun.
everybody.
Yeah, and I'm like, man, I think it's time to hang it up, after all those meetings. So it's, I stay pretty true to myself with that. And yeah, I'm just kind of playing it fight by fight. But ideally, man, I want to keep going for a little bit more. Um, yeah, and if I can put together a pretty decent win streak in Ryzen, I'm hoping they, maybe even put a heavyweight title down on the line, or put up a heavyweight title there sometime. That'd be
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. We haven't seen that yet. So, I mean, especially if, again, now the world's opening up again and get a lot of people,
Mhm.
more people, bodies back in the division, that would be certainly a really cool thing to have. And, man, you also mentioned Crow Cop a little bit earlier. Like, I want to ask you about that, man. Like, what was it? I mean, when you think about it, that was. So, here's a funny fact for you. I don't know if you know this, but Crow Cop's, or not funny, but an interesting fact, like that stretch that he was on at the end of his career, that was actually the longest winning streak he ever went on, which
Yeah,
is
yeah, I knew that. Yeah,
it's
that's
kind of
pretty
wild to
impressive.
think about, but like I want to ask you, man, like what is it like when you sit down and realize and think like, man, I was his second to last fight, and a pretty good performance for you, and I got to imagine like a bummer that it was stopped the way that it was, a cut. No one ever likes that, man. It was like heating up right as that was happening. Like, man, how do you look back on just that whole? It's a great moment and fight to be a part of against a legend like him.
Yeah, for me, it's definitely something I hold pretty close to me as far as experience goes, because it was something else, walking down the Saitama Super Arena, knowing you're about to fight Crow Cop, one of the best to ever do it in the heavyweight division, and it's definitely as disappointing as it was the loss, and I'm one of the guys. I'm my biggest critic, man. I hate losses. I hate losing, and but I just step back and I realize like these are like things that a lot of people don't get to experience. So yeah, man, I look back and I felt blessed that I was able to experience that, and when I think about it, I still get goosebumps of, that whole fight thing. And yeah, it's definitely something I don't take for granted. It was fun. I wish it could have continued, but
Yeah,
that's, it's the name of the game.
seriously. Would you say he was your most intimidating opponent just because of, the iconic nature of him, or was there something else that stood out to you?
I would say yes, but no, because for some reason, like, when I found out I was fighting him, I started going through his highlight videos, and man, he has probably one of the craziest highlight
Yeah.
videos out there. So it's like, damn, I'm gonna fight this guy. But it was so weird that when I actually went to fight him, and right before my fight, I've never felt so like calm and
Mm.
in the right place in my life. Like, even my cornermen were kind of like when we were about to walk out. I can see and it's funny. I looked at one of them. I'm like, "Hey, you okay? You all right? Like everything's gonna be all good." And they kind of like, "Actually, yeah. You know what? Like we're freaking out for nothing." And it's pretty weird because, but yeah, he was definitely probably one of the more intimidating fighters I fought. But at that moment, I wasn't scared one bit. I
At
was
peace.
actually just enjoying it. Yeah, I was enjoying it.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's one of those special things, and once you kind of, I guess, come to that realization and be like, all right, we're here. We made it to the dance. That's kind of the half the battle's getting there in the first place, right? And so,
Yeah.
yeah, man, it's definitely super cool. And I got to ask you this, Roki, like, what was the motivation or inspiration to put the shoes on for that fight? I don't know if that was the first fight you had the shoes on for, but why'd you do this? I was curious.
Actually, that was not. No, I fought with shoes before. I just feel like when I want to be really quick on my feet, um, and box more, I like to use my shoes.
Mm,
I also too I have a lower leg ankle injury where I still have a metal plate and screws in it.
mm.
So the shoes actually kind of give me a little bit of comfort in my head where I can kind of like move around on my feet lighter without having to worry about
Yeah.
jacking up my ankles. So it's a little bit of that, and yeah, like I said, I feel like I can move faster with the shoes and box better with footwork. So it's just kind of one of those things.
Okay. Yeah, certainly fair enough, man. Give you that traction and whatnot. But I don't know. The rules have changed since that fight for you, man. I don't know if you'll put them on now, but you can't do the kicks
Yeah,
with them.
yeah, no. So now I fell in love with soccer kicks, so I'm not wearing shoes anymore. Yeah, I love soccer kicks now, man. So
I
I
mean, how can you not?
yeah, the whole new it's different, man, with that roll set. I love it.
Oh, seriously, yeah, it is. It's the purest form of MMA, if you ask me, because I mean that's realistic, man. That's a fight. You can do that on the streets. It's no rules.
Yeah, you can't stall with that, you know.
Exactly. You love it. You love it. So, all right, Roki. Well, man, I mean, this is great. I'm getting ready to, let you go here, but I want to ask just two more things for you, man. Like, looking back at some of your biggest moments in your career, and a lot of great ones, great finishes and whatnot. But I want to ask you, like, what was more satisfying? Would you say between beating Jerome LeBanner, another great name, in your Rising debut there, with not just beating him, but with a scarf hold of all things, like a fantastic
Yeah.
way to get anybody beat, or winning the Deep title.
Um, you know, because of course making it into Ryzen and like you said, the submission win, and also having an old coach and good friend, Josh Barnett, was like he was at the fight too. So to win in that
Yeah.
fashion, it was weird. It's like everything again just lined up perfectly,
Right.
So I felt like that one was a little bit stands out a little bit more to me.
Yeah, fair enough. I know. I'm sure he was definitely over the moon about that.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty cool, man.
Awesome stuff, man. Well, all right, Roki. Last thing I will leave you with here, man. I mean, I guess we touched on it a little bit here, but if you never got into MMA, what do you think you'd be doing instead? Would it be the American football route? Would have really committed to that, or do you think something else? Got to be athletic. What do you think you'd be doing instead?
Yeah. Oh, it was always my dream to play professional football.
Hmm.
So that's ideally what I would have really wanted to do. But if it wasn't for fighting, if I had a choice and if I could have made it there, that's what I would have wanted to do.
Okay.
Professional football. Man, I love football. Yeah.
I mean, so how are you feeling about the Seahawks after this past year? I got to ask you. You think they'll make a run?
Well,
They did a lot better than I thought they would with
yeah,
Gino.
definitely overachieved, and it looks like they're doing pretty good on this offseason again. So yeah, man, I think they're on their way back up again. I mean, they might not contend for the championship this year, but they're moving in the right direction, so it's exciting. At least we're a little bit past those few bad years. At least hopefully.
Right. Yeah.
Don't
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Do you like the 7 playoff teams? I don't know how I feel about that still. I think I like the
Yeah.
6.
Yeah, I feel like the six is better. But
It's
it,
all business.
yeah, I guess a little bit of a longer season, right?
Yeah,
So
that's true. More
yeah.
games. I mean, yeah, it has been fun since they did that, but I don't know. Stickler sometimes. So we'll
Yeah.
see what next year holds. But all right, man. Well, I appreciate you taking the time so much. I'll let you get on with the rest of your night. I cannot wait to see you back in the Rising Ring, man. I think your career there is just in general has been super fun to watch. So I'm looking forward to it. Wish you the best of luck, man, and safe travels over to Japan. Always a good time, I'm sure. So just thanks so much again, man. And we'll be watching. Wishing you the best.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. And you take care too. Have a good rest of your early morning, I
Yeah,
should
I know.
say.
I'm about to go to bed, man.
Okay. All right.
So-
Take care.
all right, Roki,
All
take
right.
care.
All right. Bye.
Next up, we welcome the Olympian, Shinobu Ota. All right. Well, Shinobu, man, good to see you. Happy Saturday. Hope you're doing well. Just, how are things? How's the day so far?
小田選手、今日お時間いただいてありがとうございます。土曜日なんですけど、本当にお時間いただいてありがとうございます。今日、試合に向けた、コンディションはいかがでしょ
まあ、ぼちぼちですね。順調に仕上がってきてるって感じです。
う？Rick, I feel good. I'm slowly getting my body and myself prepared for the fight. I feel good.
Awesome. Love to hear it, man. And it's been a while since we've seen you in action. So I'm curious, just like, first of all, how has 2023 been so far? And you just been itching to get back in there, I'm sure.
太田選手がライジンのリングの上で戦うことを見るのが多分結構久々になると思うんですが、今のところ2023年っていうものは太田選手にとってどんな年ですか？
まあ、去年あんまり試合ができなかったので、負け試合1試合だけだったので、まあ、今年は本当にいっぱい試合して、全部勝って、まあ、タイトルっていうのも狙っていきたいなっていうふうに思ってるので、まあ、勝負の年ではあるなっていうふうに思ってて、まあ、MMA 自体ももう3年目、まあ、今2年 ちょっと3年目に突入してきたので、やっぱこっからがやっぱり勝負じゃないかなというふうに思ってます。
Yeah, so last year I wasn't able to compete too much. I only had one fight which I lost. So this year I really want to get more fights in, and I want to win them all, and eventually, get myself in a position where I can go after that title. And so this year is going to be the year of commitment. This is going to be the year where I'm going to have to step it up, and that's how I feel. Because I'm going to be entering my third year after transitioning to MMA, and this year I've got to do it, and this year is probably going to be the year where I make it or break it.
Yeah, man, we're certainly looking forward to it. Always been fun watching you fight so far. And I mean, you mentioned the unfortunate loss last time out, but you're facing a great guy in Yuki Mitoya. I mean, all your opponents have been pretty good so far early on here, Shinobu. But what were like the biggest takeaways that you had from the last fight?
昨年のいっぱいのことについて触れていましたが、本当に相手はとてもタフでベテランのもうトップどころの選手、元谷選手相手に試合をした。で、負けてしまったということなんですが、試合から学んだことって何かありましたか？
やっぱり自分のストロングポイントのレスリングっていうのを、メインに試合を組み立ててたんですけど、やっぱそれだけだと、やっぱり通用しないなっていうのが一番で、やっぱ MMA なんで打撃でしっかりダメージを与えてからのテイクダウンっていうのを、負けてからは、しっかり練習で、取り入れるようにしてきましたし、あと一番は試合前のコンディション作りっていうか、試合1週間前に体調を大きく崩してしまって、全然自分の持ってる力を出すことができなかったので、やっぱそこの、コンディション作り、体調の整え方っていうのも、今回はしっかり、していかなければいけないなというふうに思って調整してます。
So yeah, leading up to that point, I think I was fighting mainly. My fight structure was based off of my strong points, which is my wrestling, and my fight game plan was structured around utilizing my wrestling fully. And obviously, it didn't work at those high caliber opponents. I need more diversity in my game. So ever since that loss, I've been working on setting up my takedowns from striking. I have to get from striking. And that's what I've been working on, setting up my takedowns and how to get there is one thing that I've been working on mainly. And one thing I did not do well in my last fight was the conditioning. I actually felt horrible on fight week. A week before the fight, I just could not get myself to get the conditioning, my condition to be where it's supposed to be. So heading into the fight, I wasn't, fully ready condition-wise. So that's one thing that I've been working on for this specific fight camp is to make sure that I get my condition at the top on fight week and fight day.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of good motivation you got here, man, going into this next one. So it's going to be fun. And you also got to do the grappling tag match last year as well, though, right? I mean, what was that like? Obviously, a very unique dynamic. Working in a team in any kind of combat sport is always interesting.
例えば太田選手は昨年グラップリングのタッグマッチもやられていたじゃないですか。あれは非常にユニークな試みだと思うんですが、ああいったメンツの中で、ご自身がタッグのグラップリングをやるっていう経験はどういったものでした？どういう経験でしたか？
まずグラップリングマッチ自体が初めてでしたし、あのメンバーの中で、なんか10分間で4人でやるので、決めきることってのは多分難しいなっていうふうに、メンバーもメンバーだったので、の中で自分の良さっていうのを出していかなければいけないなと思ったので、ああいうふうな、形にはなったんですけど、経験としては、短い中でしたけど、グラップリングが強い選手たちの中でも自分の持ち味を出せたっていうのは、良かったかなと思うんですけど、できれば決めたかったなっていうふうには思うんですけど。
Yeah, that was actually my first grappling competition. And I mean, heading into that, the rule sets, there's 4 people and you only have 10 minutes. Like especially and everybody but myself are really good at what they do. So for me, I needed to stand out. I needed to, in order for me to stand out a bit, I needed to show my strength, which is, how I performed. But being able to hang with them, even though I only competed for a short amount of time, being able to hang with them, it was a very good learning experience. Being able to hang with them for what I did during the time, and especially given the fact that the caliber of grapplers that I dealt with. It was a great experience, short amount of time, but I do wish that I could have gotten the finish.
Do you think it's something you'll want to try again if you're offered?
ああいったグラップリングとかの、試合はオファーがあったらもう一回やってみたいというふうに思いますか？
まあそうです。オファーがあったらどんどん挑戦していきたいというふうに思ってますね。MMA の試合の時期とかにもよるとは思うんですけど、まあチャンスがあればどんどんチャレンジしていきたいと思ってます。
So obviously, my main priority is my MMA schedule. So if it doesn't interfere with what I'm doing MMA wise, if there's an offer, I'd like to go ahead and compete as much as possible if there's an offer.
Of course, man. Always good to stay busy, especially in something like MMA. And it's no secret that you're a phenomenal wrestler, man. That's the great background you got there. And I mean, it's always interesting watching wrestlers of your caliber, come over into MMA and, find success and whatnot. But of course, you've had the setbacks so far, like the last fight, as we've mentioned here already. So just like how difficult would you describe it, transitioning to MMA and having to deal with strikes and all that while still being able to use what you had a full other career in?
太田選手は素晴らしいレスリングバックグラウンドを持って、レスリングから総合格闘技に転向したっていう、キャリアを選択した選手なんですけれども、私からすると、ドレイクさんからすると、そういう選手たちを見て、そういう選手たちが成長していくのが非常に見応えがあるというふうに感じているんですが、太田選手自身、一つのものを極めてから、このレスリングを極めてから、打撃があったり、寝技があったりする MMA に挑戦するときの、なんですか、その難しいところ、一回極めたものを、一回捨てて打撃を学ばなければいけないのか、それを生かすための打撃にするのか、そういった転向するときの難しさっていうものが特に感じたものがあれば教えてください。
まあ考え的にはそのバックボーンであるレスリングを生かすような打撃をして戦いたいなというふうに思ってて、レスリングのことに関しては、MMA なので打撃があったり、レスリング要素もあったり、倒してからのサブミッションっていうのもある中で、僕はトライアスロンみたいな感じだと思ってて、僕はレスリングの中の一つの、トライアスロンだったら、ランとかスイムとか、バイクの一つの競技だけなので、それをなんていうか一つだけ強くても絶対勝てないので、しっかりそれをなんていうんだろう、全体的にレベルを高めていかなければいけないなって思ってるので、MMA の中でのレスリングっていうのは自信を持ってますけど、他の部分は本当にゼロから始めたみたいなもんなので、打撃に関してはまだまだ時間がかかるなっていうふうに思ってますし、サブミッションに関してはもうやればやるほどいろんなことが身につくと思ってるので、最終的にはオールラウンダーっていうふうになれればいいかなと思ってますけど、その中でやっぱり自分のバックボーンであるレスリングっていうのはやっぱ芯にありますし、それを生かしていけるような打撃であったり、サブミッションを身につけていきたいなというふうに思ってます。
So, ultimately my ideal style is to be able to, to be able to strike and utilize my wrestling at the fullest. Obviously MMA has basically, if you break it down, it's striking, wrestling, and grappling, submissions. These three aspects. And I look at MMA as a triathlon. And wrestling is one of those aspects. Triathlons have the run, swim, and bike, right? So wrestling is one aspect. But if you're a really good swimmer and you can't run or bike, you can't win a triathlon, right? You got to overall. Obviously, you have the background that benefits, but you need to do everything. And that's what MMA is. That's how I look at MMA. So just like winning a triathlon, I can't win with just wrestling. I have to work on my striking. I have to work on my submission games. And I am very confident in my MMA wrestling, but the other stuff, striking, submissions, I have to start from zero. So I know that striking takes more time. And for grappling, the more you learn, the more you know you have to learn.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like an endless loop. So overall, over time, I think, it's nice to be able to become the well-rounded overall fighter. But within that roundedness, I still think that, I am a wrestler and I would like to utilize my wrestling and I would like to lean on my wrestling heavy at the end of the day.
Yeah, of course. It's what got you to the dance in the first place. But that's a phenomenal comparison, man. I love that. And have you ever done a triathlon before? I got to ask you now.
太田選手のこの MMA をトライアスロンに例える表現って非常にユニークというか、すごく新しい素晴らしいアプローチだなというふうに思うんですが、太田選手自身はトライアスロンやられたことありますか？
ないです。
No, I have not.
All right, yeah, save that for down the line, I guess, after we're all done with the combat sports. But I mean, with all that in mind, though, Shinobu, like, how satisfying was it then getting your first career finish when you fought Sone?
トライアスロンは総合が終わってからまたやってみてもいいのかなと思いますが、太田選手が、キャリア初めてのフィニッシュとなった曽根選手との試合、フィニッシュを取れた時どういう気持ちでしたか？
まあ、あの時、もう今見返してみれば、まあ、1ラウンドでフィニッシュできた試合だなって、今の、自分の、スキルを持っていれば、1ラウンドで終わらせられた試合かなとは思いますし、やっぱフィニッシュはしましたけど、自分のフィニッシュ力が低かったので、ああいう2ラウンドの中盤でフィニッシュっていう風な形になってしまったので、もっともっと早くっていうか、なんて言うんだろう。自分のスキルが高ければもうちょっと、早く終わらせることができたし、っていう風に、今見返せば見返すほどそういう風に思う試合だなと思ってます。
So that fight, when I look back at it now, when I look at the fight now, I know that I could have finished it in the first round. If I had the skills and experience I have now, I could have finished in the first round. But because of my lack of ability to finish, it took me 2 rounds to finish that fight. So, I'm not necessarily looking at it as I'm not satisfied with it because I know I could have done better. My lack of finishing abilities is what dragged the fight on to the second round. So I know for a fact that if I would have fought him with the experience I have now, I would have been able to finish much sooner. That's how I look at that fight.
All right, very interesting. Yeah, definitely some learning lessons to be taken out of still a great win regardless, man. And I want to ask you as well, Shinobu, like, what were you more nervous before, like going into your MMA debut or before the Olympics?
太田選手にちょっと聞きたいんですが、オリンピックで試合するのと MMA に転向して MMA で初めて試合する時のこの精神的なこの緊張度って言ったらどういう違いがありますか？
まあ、結論から言うとあんまり違いはないですね。違いはなくて、まあ僕は結構本当に緊張するタイプなので、レスリングのことに関して言ったら、まあオリンピックでも、その辺の県大会とかでも緊張するのは緊張するし、その度合いっていうのもあんま変わんなくて、まあただ自分がやってきたことをその場で、その舞台で発揮できればいいなと思ってるし、試合の勝ち負けっていうよりも、勝ち負けっていうか試合で自分がやってきたことを出せるかどうかっていう心配の方が大きくて、あんまりなんか試合の度合いとか、あと MMA だからとかっていう違いはあんまりないです。
So, just to straight up answer your question, it's not too different. I get nervous regardless. Before competition, I'm the type that gets nervous regardless. Rather if it's a regional tournament in Japan or the Olympics. It doesn't really matter to me. I just get nervous because what I want to do in a competition is that I want to be able to show everything that I've practiced, what I've worked on. And the concern about not being able to perform at my fullest is the biggest concern. About it's more of a concern than the results actually. So with that said, it goes the same with MMA as well. I want to go in there and perform as I practice. So in terms of like nervousness and whatnot, like the size of the competition really doesn't matter to me.
All right. Very professional athlete answer of you, sir. Yeah, just go into it all the same and always want to get that win and get your hand raised. And we'll be looking to do the same against Kazuma Kuramoto, of course. It's a very exciting matchup you got coming up here, man. Stylistically, this should be, a very fun one, I think, with both of your grappling abilities and whatnot. But just what do you make of him as an opponent, and what are you kind of expecting in this next fight here, Shinobu?
それでは次の試合の対戦相手についてちょっと聞きたいんですけれども、倉本選手、スタイル的にも、周りがすごく噛み合って面白い試合になるんじゃないかなというふうに言われていますが、太田選手から見た倉本選手のそのファイターとしてのその評価だったり、危険な武器っていうものを、どのように思われますか？
まず本当にすごい強い選手だなっていう風な評価をしていて、まあ、実際にシュートでも、暫定王者決定戦まで行ってますし、しかも、もうしっかりキャリアを積み重ねての、暫定王者まで行ってる選手なので、ライジンでもすごく派手な試合をしている印象なんですけど、倉本選手のストロングポイントもやっぱりレスリング、MMA レスリングだと思ってるんですけど、そこの部分では僕は負けてはいけないところだと思ってるし、あと、すごい、なんて言うんだろう、オーバーフック系の、近い距離のパンチがすごい強いなっていう印象なので、そこを自分も負けないように近い距離の打撃っていうのは僕も、強いものを持ってるって自信があるので、そこで上回っていきたいなというふうには考えてます。
So I think Kuramoto is a very tough fighter. I mean, he's experienced a title fight in Shuto, and and that title challenge was not something that he worked for. He built up a legitimate career in Shuto, and he absolutely earned his title shot in Shuto. So that itself explains, how legitimate Kuramoto is. And his fights in Rizin, they're fun to watch. He puts on great fights. And I also believe that his strong point too is wrestling. And same as me. So like you said, there are a lot of similarities in our styles. And I believe, and I cannot lose with those in those parts. So obviously, if our strengths are wrestling, I cannot lose in wrestling against him in MMA. Obviously, and he has really good hooks. He hits hard in a very short, close range. He's got devastating punches in a short range. So do I, and those are the places that I cannot lose to, where our strengths both are the same. I believe the one who can capitalize in those aspects will have the advantage of this fight.
So is there anything kind of specific that you want to show in this fight, or is it just kind of like the continued evolution of your skill set as an overall MMA fighter?
この試合で太田選手が特に何かこれを見せたいっていうものがありますか？それとも、太田忍選手がMMA ファイターとしては全体的に成長している部分を全部出していきたいのか？
全体的なMMA ファイターとしての成長を見せたいっていう気持ちの方が強いですね。それと同時にやっぱり相手の得意な部分をしっかり封じて、自分のがしっかり上回ってるっていうのを見せたいですね。
Yeah, so I would like to show my involvement as an MMA fighter. Like overall, I have become a better MMA fighter. And one other thing is too that I would like to offset his strengths to be able to initiate the fight. I would like to defend his strong points and capitalize the fight.
Of course, man. Yeah, can't wait to see it. It's going to be a very fun one. And not to look past him or anything, Shinobu, but I'm curious, do you have like any dream opponents in mind already, or is it too soon to kind of think about that stuff and you're just kind of going step by step, obviously still, but obviously I'm sure you have goals as well in terms of, becoming champion like you mentioned earlier, but is there any like specific people you want to hope to, get your hands on in the future at some point?
ちょっとこの質問を聞くのはもしかしたら早いかもわからないんですが、試合前なのであれなのかもしれないですけど、太田選手がこの MMA キャリアの中で目指すゴール、そして誰か今特別に戦いたいと思っている人はいますか？
目指すところは、やっぱりUFC での、戦いたいと思ってますし、そこでも、チャンピオンを目指したいというふうに思ってます。戦いたい選手に関しては、今パッと思い浮かばないですけど、やっぱ大臣の中でも僕よりもまだ上っていうふうに位置づけられる選手が、いるので、その選手を一人ずつしっかり潰していって、最終的にはチャンピオンという形になって、そこから、海外っていう考えもしていきたいなというふうに思ってます。
So my goals in this industry or in this career is obviously I want to challenge UFC. I would like to test my skills in the UFC and eventually become champion there. That's my ultimate goal. But as of right now, do I have a name that I can mention? I do not have a name who I want to fight. But I think my thing is that I continue to fight anybody who's considered, above me in rankings. I'd like to take them on one by one, and eventually, winning all those fights would get me to the top and, meaning champion. So, and from there, maybe I can take the next step. That's an overall vision. But as of right now, I don't really have anybody specific to call out.
All right. Certainly fair enough, man. Yeah, just going fight by fight right now and hoping to get more active, as you said, and we'll be looking forward to that. But all right, Shinobu, this has been great, man. But before I let you go, I want to ask you, the tough question here that I always like to ask people. But, if you never got into combat sports, so like wrestling or anything at all, what do you think you'd be doing instead right now, man?
太田選手にちょっと難しい質問をしたいと思うんですが、格闘技、いわゆるコンバットスポーツに出会ってなければ、今ご自身は何をされていると思いますか？
何をしてたかはわからないですけど、僕はプロ野球選手になりたかったので、レスリングのような同じような成績を残せる、トップに行けるんであればプロ野球選手を目指したと思うんですけど、そうですね。プロ野球選手になりたかったです。何をしてたかはわかんないですけど。
Yeah, so I have no idea what I'd be doing if I hadn't wrestled, but I can tell you that I wanted to be a professional baseball player growing up. So if I had potential in baseball and if I could have made it, made it to become a world-class baseball player, I might have been a baseball player, but if not, I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, hey, you're pretty darn good at this combat sports thing, man, so don't need to worry about that. But yeah, baseball, definitely a good fun alternative if we were in another universe, but we're not. So I was curious, of course. So looking forward to the fight coming up, Shinobu. I appreciate you taking the time so much, man. I'll let you get on with the rest of your day. So I want to give you a big arigato gozaimashita. Thank you for joining me here, and best of luck with everything. Very much looking forward to this one. Should be fun, and I hope you get to fight as much and often as possible this year. So I just appreciate you taking the time, sir. And last but not least, it is one of the most exciting fighters on the Rizin roster, Luiz Killer Gustavo. Hello, good morning. Can you hear me?
Hello, good morning. We can hear you. How are you?
Awesome. Good. Tired a little early for me, but glad to be here chatting with you guys. Yeah, just how's everything going?
What time is there now?
Oh, it's 4:30 a.m. for me. I'm 4 hours behind you guys.
4 hours. Oh, so yeah, very early.
Oh, yes.
So we appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem, man. Very glad to get to chat. And Luis, great to see you, man. I mean, just how's the new year been for you so far? 2023 off to a good start. Obviously, got the fight coming up, but just how has life been, my man?
Como que tá a sua vida? Como que foi esse ano aí, 2023, aí, com essa luta aí já engatilhada no começo do ano? Como que tá? Começou comigo, né?
Foi muito bom. Tá tudo bem, começou com a tua vitória e estamos indo em busca de mais uma vitória. Estou muito preparado e feliz de estar retornando novamente.
He's saying that the year start very early, actually, in Japan, because he went with me in my fight there in Japan. So we start off the year very good with my victory, and then he's saying now it's his turn to go back to Japan, and he's always excited. Japan, it's an awesome place to fight, so he can't wait to be back now and to give another show to the fans.
Absolutely, got to carry on the momentum, and congratulations, sir, on the great win yourself. And yeah, I mean, it's like how do you keep busy outside of camp and whatnot, Luis? Like on a day-to-day base and regular day life, like what keeps you busy, man?
Tá perguntando como que é a tua rotina de treinos assim durante a semana, como que é no dia a dia.
Todo dia na parte da manhã tem spa, treino profissional, 7 horas da manhã jiu-jitsu, de tarde manopla, preparação física e 2 vezes na semana natação.
E a parte do psicólogo, posso falar também?
Pode falar.
He's saying that his routine is divided on the MMA training with the whole team, and after that he does the specific. So he with his coach he does the meets, and he also added to his training now swimming. So he's saying that it's been helping him a lot because of the inside of the water, you know,
right.
it's less for the body. So, and he also doing once a week, he's doing with the psychology. So he's talk with them like to do the visualization about the fight and everything, and also in the personal life, right? So because everything is together, so you can't separate the professional and the personal life. So it's pretty much this physical training, the meets, the sparring, and with the whole team, and he adds now swimming and the psychology.
All right, very cool, man. Quite the schedule. And yeah, it's always interesting to me hearing about the psychological parts of things, especially in fighting. So like, I got to ask you, man, like it's always kind of a topic I hear from the fighters, you know, between is MMA more of a physical or a mental sport, right? And like some people will say it's a perfect 50-50, half and half, or a lot of the time people say it's more mental than physical, right? Because you need to be able to focus and function properly to get the body to do what you need it to do. So like, where do you fall, Luis? Would you say it's one way or the other, or is it like half and half? How do you look at it, mental versus physical in MMA?
Ele está perguntando assim, que muita gente fala que ele acha bem interessante essa parte do psicológico, se ele acha que no dia da luta é mais psicológico, é mais físico, se o que você acha? Qual é a tua opinião assim?
É tudo um conjunto, né? O físico é muito importante, mas o mental também. Então acho que é meio que 50-50 ali.
Será? Aí, né, no
Até
dia
mais um pouco.
mais um pouquinho do mental, né?
Mais mental ainda.
Mais mental, né?
Mais mental.
He thinks that in the day of the fight it's more mental than physical, and I agree with him.
Of course, man.
So, sometimes you have the fight, like they call you up, next weekend. So if you don't have,
yeah, gotta be ready.
Oh, it's not so good. But if your mental is good, you can make a good fight.
Of course.
Of course. The highest level, you gotta keep everything, in the top. But if you have to pick one, he's saying, and I agree with him, the mental.
Yeah,
for sure.
Definitely. And I mean, what made you want to do the psychology and kind of work on that, talking to somebody in the first place, Luis? How did that come to be?
Ele falou o que fez você ir numa psicóloga e tudo mais. Eu já comentei com ele que a parte que é pro pessoal que sempre afeta o profissional, assim, né?
É isso aí, né? Tudo. O pessoal afeta o profissional também, né? Tem que estar tudo sincronizado.
O profissional flui bem.
Isso.
Quer que eu fale mais alguma coisa,
Não,
tipo, em relação à família? Alguma coisa?
Não, faça isso aí, mano.
He's saying that he went first because of the personal life, you know. So we're saying that it's always good to have someone for you to verbalize, you know, the I forgot the word now, the struggle,
Right.
the struggle of life and everything. So that was the first reason, and then he realized that it started to help in him in the fight game, you know, in the professional life, and then he's been keeping up with the psychology. Quantos anos faz tá lá?
6.
Oh, he has been doing it for 6 years already.
Okay.
6 years.
All right, so nothing new then, man. Just keeping the mind sharp as you got to do, especially ahead of these big fights like your first fight of the year with Koji Takeda. Great matchup, man. Very exciting fight you got coming up here. I mean, all your fights are exciting, Luis, but yeah, it's a good matchup. Koji, very busy guy. Had some good slams. We know he loves his slams. I mean, just for you, man, what do you make of this matchup? How excited are you for this first fight kicking off 2023 for you?
Tá falando que todas as suas lutas são muito, muito legais e tudo mais, mas o que você acha dessa luta que eles casaram com como é o nome dele?
Takeda.
Takeda. O que você acha dessa luta? Porque, né, ele tem algumas coisas assim, né, fala que o pessoal gosta muito das quedas dele e tudo mais, e o que você acha desse casamento, dessa luta?
É uma luta muito boa, não tenho nada que vai ser igual aos outros, com certeza. Uma luta muito boa pra mim. Ele é um cara que gosta de lutar agarrado, mas eu tenho muito boas defesas de queda e também quedo muito bem, e com certeza isso não vai prejuízo.
He's saying that he has good slams, but he also has good takedown defense.
Yes.
So, and he also knows how to take down, even though people know that he's a striker. But he knows how to take down. He knows to jiu-jitsu, so he's not worried about that. And one thing that he also said is that this fight he won't go to the judge for sure.
I mean,
It's
yeah.
gonna end up. Yeah, he's saying 100% sure he won't go to the judge.
I mean, yeah, no decision victories yet for you, man. You've been quite the finisher, and but it's very fascinating hearing, the response about the grappling there. I'm curious, Gustavo, like, do you want to show off your grappling abilities a little bit more sometimes? Because, we think of you as this amazing striker, which you are, but in a matchup like this, it might be forced to, right, depending on how he kind of comes at you. Are you expecting to have to show off your grappling a little bit more in this fight?
Ele está falando que normalmente o pessoal, todo mundo, né, só vê a tua parte da trocação e tudo mais, mas que às vezes o pessoal ficaria realmente curioso em ver você, às vezes mostrando um pouco das tuas habilidades no chão e nas quedas. Está perguntando se você acha que essa é uma luta que pode ser que você acabe mostrando isso para o público.
Eu estou preparado em todas as áreas, e a área que eu cair, com certeza ele não vai ter chance. Sendo em pé ou no chão, estou bem preparado. Isso é um pesadelo para ele o tempo todo.
He's saying that he's preparing to do everything in this fight. It doesn't matter if he's going to go to the ground, if he's going to take him down. He's saying again that he won't go to the judge, and also said that it's going to be a nightmare for his opponent, even on the ground or on the striking game. He's saying like it's going to be a nightmare the whole fight.
All right. Love to hear it. Love to hear it, man. Yeah, but a good old dream for you. So like this, a win here would be, a great third in a row for you, Luis, like a good stretch you're on right now. Some great victories. I'm curious, like, I think personally this one would be good enough to get you a title shot, but I'm curious how you're kind of thinking about this, right? Or you could get a fight with Roberto Satoshi off of Takeda win. Is that something you're kind of hoping for and think it could happen?
Se você acha que essa luta vai te jogar assim pro cinturão lá com o Roberto Satoshi, né?
Com certeza tem que jogar, né? Pô, já tô aí vindo de várias vitórias e estando no evento fielmente, então tem que rolar essa chance.
He's saying that's what he's expecting of this fight. After this victory, he's going to for the belt. He's saying that for all he has been showing now in the event and for the fans and the whole world, he's saying that he's ready after this fight to get the belt for sure.
Yeah, that would be awesome to see, man. I think it's probably just a matter of time for you, honestly. And I'm curious, like, what have you made of Satoshi's run so far? Like, have you been impressed by him as a champion?
O que você achou do caminho do Satoshi ali para ser o campeão e tudo mais? O que você acha? Você tem alguma opinião sobre isso tudo mais? O que você acha
Não,
dele?
fez o caminho merecido e é isso aí. Fez merecido e assim como eu tô me merecendo também é a minha oportunidade.
He's saying that the way that he took to get the belt, he deserved it. He deserved it for sure. But he also saying that he also deserved, and he's on the way to get the belt and to become the champion for sure.
Definitely, man, definitely. And yeah, Satoshi's last fight was Ryzen 40, of course, when he was part of the cross promotion with AJ McKee. And, you know, you were supposed to be on that card too against Johnny Case, Luis. But I was curious, like, it's really cool to see Ryzen do the stuff with Bellator now. And, you know, your fight wasn't a part of the cross promotion stuff, but I'm curious, is that something you'd like to be a part of one day? Like maybe going and fighting in Bellator or fighting one of their guys? Like, it's a really cool concept I think they have going on right now.
Já sei mais ou menos o que responder nessa, mas tá falando é, que o último evento lá que você ia lutar foi um mix lá com o Bellator e com o Ryzen. Se você acha isso interessante, se você também tem vontade de, tipo, ir lutar pelo Bellator ou tudo mais. Tá pensando assim, que você acha muito legal esse negócio porque dá uma visibilidade muito grande pro Ryzen e pro Bellator, tipo, o mundo inteiro assiste um grande evento com grandes lutadores e esse mix, né, que faz um contra o outro, eu acho que traz muito mais atenção dos fãs. Você acha legal?
Eu acho muito legal esse negócio de faltar opção de visibilidade e muito bacana ser Risen versus Bellator e sempre vou defender a bandeira do Japão.
Mhm. He's saying that it's very, very interesting, this mix that they do. You know, it brings a lot of visibility, you know, even more because it's too big an event. And he's saying that he's always going to be excited to defend the flag of Rising and Japan, you know, and he's very interested about that.
Yeah, certainly, man. You'd be a great person to be a part of it. And, you know, obviously, I know that getting the title is a goal, Luis. Like, makes sense. Why wouldn't you want that? But I want to know, like, long term, man, is there any kind of big long term goal that you have in MMA? Something you want to achieve? Maybe not immediately, but within the next couple of years, maybe like 5 or so. What do you want to have done by that point?
Tá falando, tipo assim, não precisa nem ser dentro especificadamente do MMA, mas qual que é tua meta, o teu sonho, assim, daqui 5 anos? O que você almeja, assim?
Lutar o mundo inteiro, mas fazer a última luta minha é no Japão.
Uhum. E ser o melhor do mundo da sua categoria, tudo mais. He's saying that his ultimate goal is to become the best in the world in his category and in his division. And he also saying that when he is going to retire, his last fight, he wants to be in Japan for sure.
All right, there we go. Yeah, only makes sense. Only makes sense, man. So we're not close to that, obviously, but when that time comes, that would be a cool thing to have happen. So
we are in the statement of that. So
yeah, yes. And man, it's crazy, Luis. Like, obviously, the world was crazy in 2020 and 2021, all that time a couple of years ago now, but. You were out on the sidelines for that period, so I'm curious, like, how tough was it for you sitting out for that time, man? I'm assuming, because of the pandemic was why you weren't able to get the fights or anything, but just how tough, was it going through that for you?
Entendeu alguma coisa? Entendeu? Tentando entender também é bom para praticar inglês. Ele tá falando da época da pandemia. Falou quão difícil foi para você, porque obviamente você não conseguiu nenhuma luta. Então, como que foi para você ficar, tipo, todo esse tempo parado e tudo mais? Quão difícil foi?
Foi muito difícil, né? Ainda mais vindo de uma derrota e ter que se reinventar sozinho e ter que treinar e tal. E propostas de outros eventos eu tive, tive bastante proposta de outros países para lutar, mas como eu gosto muito do Japão, optei em esperar e todo sacrifício leva uma recompensa e
Valeu a pena esperar.
valeu a
Tudo
pena esperar.
bem. He's saying like, for sure, it was really, really hard. It's not good always for you to be training, even though we like to train, but it's always good to have something on mind and like something book. It's much better to have a short goal ahead.
Right.
And it was very hard. And he's also saying that there were a lot of events even from Brazil and other countries that were calling him up, to fight, but he said that he did the better choice. That was to wait for Japan, for wait to Rising, because he loves to fight in the event, and he said that it was worth to wait to not make the decision of fighting another event and everything. Was the best thing to wait. And after the pandemic, was very good. A lot of very sequence of victories, and it was good. It was very good to wait, but was not easy, not easy at all.
Yeah, I can only imagine, man. I mean, things have been quite good since then for sure. And you already mentioned like not letting things go to decision, Luis, and you've just been such an exciting fighter throughout your career that I wonder, like, for you, like, how important is it for you to be an entertaining and exciting fighter? Because, of course, as fans, we love watching guys like you fighting who are always going out there and just finishing people in the most violent ways possible. I mean, you're the killer for a reason, but, like, how important is it for you to be known as an exciting fighter?
Não sabia que me responder. Como eu sempre sei tudo. Te conheço, filha da puta. Ele tá falando o que acha que para você, quão importante é, tipo, entreter os fãs e sempre acabar com as lutas, assim. Tipo, você é o killer por uma razão, mas se é realmente importante para você isso, realmente acabar e tudo mais. É natural, né? Mas,
Eu treino para isso, né? Sou treinado para isso e toda luta com certeza não vou deixar pro juiz e é muito importante entreter os fãs, por isso que eu tenho fãs lá e não posso desapontar eles. E é isso aí.
Vamos falar, foi desde que você pisou no tatame que você foi moldado para sempre acabar com a luta e tudo mais.
Saudade, né?
Hã?
Saudade, né?
He's saying that since he was a kid, he was trained to be an entertaining fight and to be a finisher. Since he stepped up for the first time on the mat, he was made for be a finisher. To be a killer. And after his first, second, third, and fourth fight, like people say, all right, you really are the killer. You are finish everybody. You are knocking out everybody. So it's like something very natural, And after he went to Japan, and then he saw how the Japanese fans were, like it gave him even more fire, to keep this legacy of being a killer, to be a finisher, and to entertain the fans.
All right, there we go, man. And yeah, I mean, the killer nickname is so great and fitting. And I'm curious, like, did this come from somebody in the beginning, or was it something like you said there, where it just built up over time and everyone was calling you it because of how your style was? Like, what is the exact kind of beginning of the nickname for you?
Agora eu vou te zoar, porque amigos fazem isso, só Paulo, toma. Ele tá falando como que foi se foi alguém que falou pra você que você era o killer, ou conforme você foi acabando as lutas, tipo, o pessoal começou a te chamar assim de killer, assim, qual que foi a origem, da onde que veio?
Acontecendo a luta, né?
Mas não foi alguém que falou tudo mais? Ele quer saber, tipo, a partir de qual momento que foi? O pirulito pro...
Não fala isso. Não fala isso. Não fala isso.
Me as a friend, I'm making fun of him because I'm gonna say how was your last nickname before it becomes the killer.
Okay, all right.
He said, no, don't tell. But he said that after he was finishing the fights, like people were going to start to say like, "Oh my God, you are an assassin, you are a killer. No, you are a finisher." And then the killer, it sounds good. No, Luiz Killer, né?
Pelas lutas
Yeah.
define isso.
Yeah, he's saying that it suits to his name, so that's why he started to enjoy, and then finally like becomes Luiz Gustavo Killer.
Yeah, definitely a very natural fit and everything. But man, now you're teasing me with this other nickname. I'm very curious what this is, but we'll save that. We'll save that.
You're going to spar him right now because I'm gonna have to say in Portuguese. He knows how to say his nickname in English, so he will realize you're going to be a live sparring now.
All right, there we go. Look what I've done. Sorry, guys.
Problem. We make fun of each other all the time, so
Of course, gotta have fun with it, right? Gotta have fun with things. So,
we got it.
man, well, Luis, like it's interesting. You know, you look at your career so far, and not too many setbacks, right? Just 2 losses on the record, and you know that's a good amount. Hopefully, no more. Or, you know, it's get those, got them out of the way and whatnot. But you know, a lot of people always say that you know you learn more from losses than wins, and I've heard some people argue you can, of course, learn from the wins too, and maybe more. Sometimes it really is situational. But I'm curious for you, like in your career overall, do you have a specific like biggest learning experience? It doesn't have to have been a fight or a loss or anything, but something that stands out to you that you learned the most from in your career so far.
Tava perguntando se teve alguma coisa que fez você realmente aprender no decorrer da carreira e principalmente com as derrotas. Se né, você teve 2 derrotas e tudo mais, e que ele espera também que sejam as últimas, nunca mais. Mas se dessas derrotas você aprendeu alguma coisa específica, alguma coisa pontual assim que fez você melhorar como pessoa, como lutador.
Eu acho que só melhorou, né, as derrotas. As derrotas, com certeza a gente aprende com as vitórias, com a derrota, e com certeza com a derrota não foi diferente, né? Aprendi muito. E lá em cima tudo pode acontecer, e agora eu luto mais relaxado, ainda que eu nunca tinha perdido. E eu ter perdido, puto, isso mostrou que eu não preciso me preocupar com nada ali, tudo pode acontecer. Então, aprendi muito com a derrota também. Muito mais relaxado agora. Melhor ainda.
He's saying that we learn with the victories and with the defeats, but the defeats that he had, it made him a better fighter because it makes him fight more loose, you know, like more relaxed, because it's kind of, he had that responsibility, you know, I never lost,
Right.
you know, and it started to make like maybe he didn't handle like as too good, and after the fight, after the defeat, he's like, you know, like everything can happen inside the ring, so it doesn't matter. Let me just be myself. Let me just fight because that's what I enjoy to do, and it made him a better fighter, you know, because that's where we come back to the psychology part, you know, like now he's more relaxed, like everything can happen here, no responsibility of win or lose, just to fight and to do what I love to do, and it's been good. It's been good so far.
Eu já perdi muito na vida, assim como eu perdi meu pai, tive muitos aprendizados. Então isso não...
He's saying that he had a lot of defeats in life, not just inside the ring, you know, included the death of his father and everything. So he know, like he becomes a better fighter and a better man, you know, with these defeats, and can always push you forward if you react better to this.
É a vida, né? Essa é a vida, é uma caixa de surpresa e temos que viver todos os momentos intensamente, independente do que aconteceu, tudo é um aprendizado.
We have an expression that is say like the life it's a little box of surprise, you know. So we gotta live the fullest, you know, of the day, like living intense. So because everything can happen in everything, so this put your foot to the ground and made you realize that, you know, like you don't have to be that worried, you don't have to be that concerned, you know, just live day by day and try to enjoy the moment and be 100% present at the moment, you know. That's what he's trying to do.
Nada me surpreende mais na vida, né? Assim que perdi meu pai, então nada mais me surpreende, nada.
He's saying like about like the defeats, especially in the fight game. It doesn't surprise him anymore because after the death of his father, you know, nothing can be higher than that. You know, nothing can be worse than that. Yeah, so he
Só me mostrou quanto eu sou mais forte ainda.
it just showed him how strong that he can be, you know, because he overcome, you know, all the situations in the personal life and in the defeats in the professional life, and it showed him today that like he can be strong. He is strong, and he can overcome all of that.
Faz menos de um mês que eu perdi minha avó e isso só mostra quanto forte eu posso ser.
You know, his grandma passed away like a few weeks ago and everything, and like he's saying like no defeat can be higher than this, you know. So he knows how strong he is today as a man, and that is no surprise. So that's why today when he stepped up in the ring, like he just let it go.
Yeah.
And that,
All right, man. Yeah, I mean, wow. I'm very sorry for the loss of grandma there. That's terrible to hear. But I mean, all beautifully said, man. All very beautifully said. I mean, can't really disagree with you there. Great lessons to put out. And on the flip side, though, Luis, like I'm curious too. Like, what would you say has been the most satisfying victory of your career thus far? You know, so many great ones to choose from. But do you have one that you kind of look back on most fondly?
Ele tá falando se tem alguma, né? Falou, foi muito bonito que você falou disso aqui, que é um grandes aprendizados, com certeza. E tá perguntando se se tem alguma vitória específica, assim, que realmente é tipo, especial para você, uma vitória.
Essa vai ser uma vitória especial, né? Vai ser dedicada à minha avó e de onde ela esteja, ela vai estar feliz com a minha vitória e olhando por mim.
E alguma do passado, assim, que também marcou você? Talvez a primeira do
Acho que
Japão?
toda luta é marcante, né? Toda luta é uma história diferente.
He's saying that the one who is going to be special is going to be the next one now, because he's going to make this fight for his grandma, you know. So he's saying this is going to be a special one, and he's saying that each victory has a different feeling, you know, and each one has like a special thing about it, you know. So that's what he said. There is no like a specific one at this moment. Like all of them were very special because each one has a thing that made it special.
All right, yeah, perfect, man. Like, yeah, every next one's the biggest and best one, right? Got to leave the statement out there. Great motivation to have, indeed. So, very much looking forward to it, Luis, man. I appreciate you taking the time so much, man. But I'll leave you with one last thing here before we get on with our days, right? I'll probably go back to bed since it is a little early, but for you guys, obviously got some stuff to do. But I got to wonder, Luis, I love asking fighters this question, especially when I'm talking to them for the first time. But for you, man, I got to know, like, if you never got into MMA as your career, what do you think you'd be doing instead, man? Where would Luis Killer Gustavo be? Might not be the killer we know, but if MMA wasn't what you got into, what do you think you'd be doing?
Ele falou que né, que ele já tá agradecendo e tudo mais, que ele acha que vai voltar pra cama, né, que são 4:30 da manhã lá, e que tá perguntando se você não fosse o Luiz Gustavo, killer, lutador, o que você estaria fazendo hoje? O que você acha que se você seria?
Alguma coisa muito sinistra, não sei. Talvez tentaria estar aqui para contar a história.
He's saying he doesn't know what he would be doing, but he said that he would be good at it.
Perfect answer, yeah.
On that.
There we go. Well, you don't need to worry about it, man. You're pretty good at the fighting thing, so no worries at all. But all right, Luis, man. Well, I appreciate you taking the time so much, man. I'll let you get on with the rest of your day. I hope you guys have a great morning and all that too. I appreciate you taking the time so much. Can't wait to see you fighting again. Always a good time. So best of luck and safe travels to Japan. Hope you enjoy just the whole trip. I'm sure it's always a good time. So just thanks, man. A big obrigado to you. And yeah, I'm sure we'll catch up again in the future. But until then, wishing the best and good luck out there, man. I don't think you need it, but we'll be watching.
Ah, muito obrigado, tô muito feliz também pela entrevista. Achei um cara muito bacana e com certeza depois da vitória vamos fazer outra entrevista. E muito obrigado pela disposição, pelo tempo comigo.
He's saying he appreciated your time, especially very early. And he's saying that after the victory, he would like to make it like the post victory interview with you. That you sound a very nice guy, and he's very glad that you guys just talked and had this interview. It's always good for him, for everybody else.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it greatly, man. Yeah, always welcome. So we'll definitely set it up. But until then, sir, I hope you have a great time over there. And yeah, go kill it as you do, right? So let you guys get on with the rest of the day.
All right.
All right. Take
Thank
care,
you
you
so
guys. Yes, thank you.
And go back to bed and rest a little bit
Yeah,
more.
I know. I got to wake up to talk to some more people. So I'll rest until then. All right. Take care, you guys. Thank you.
Take care. Bye.
That was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
The triathlon comparison was spot on. I was like, holy shit, it makes so much sense.
I know. That was very good.
Yeah. You ever heard that? Have you ever heard that comparison before? That analogy.
I don't know.
I mean,
I feel
like
like there's
wrestling-
no way someone hasn't said that, but I can't think right now.
because it makes sense. Like if you're a stud wrestler, it means that you can kick ass in running, but if you don't know how to bike, you can't win a triathlon.
Yeah.
If you don't notice. It makes a lot of sense. It's like a full-on approach. I don't know, but I have never approached it that way.
Yeah, I love that.
That's I'm gonna start using it. Fuck.
I know. Thanks, Ota.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Oh, one thing that I've kind of always thought about, Drake.
Okay.
When you close the show, right? You say, "I'd like to give a big arigato gozaimashita."
Yeah.
You throw that in there, right?
Yeah.
And then very much, and you move on. So, in Japanese, arigato gozaimasu is like the end of the sentence.
Oh, it's the very end.
It's the very end. So when you look at the fighters, like they can hear the arigato gozaimasu.
And then I continue.
Correct. They get ready to respond because they hear the arigato. It's an immediate reaction that if someone says arigato gozaimashita, you have to say arigato gozaimashita. So I would recommend when you do Japanese fighters, you'd say close the deal and say arigato gozaimashita.
Okay.
And then they would say arigato gozaimashita. And that way you won't really.
You're telling me this now?
Yeah, I am telling you this now. I've always thought like you put in so much before closing the show.
Yeah.
I want to translate what you say too.
Right.
So, but it is awkward from a Japanese point of view. It is awkward, but I'm sure nobody notices. But I'm just saying that if you could finish with arigato gozaimashita, it'd be a much smoother way because when you say arigato, finish it, they will respond without even waiting for me. It's very interesting, and you'll see the difference.
Okay. Well, it's funny because I remember when I was like doing my studies, which I haven't studied Japanese in years now since we started the show. Really, probably right before we started the show. But what I remember seeing was that between the difference of arigato gozaimasu and mashita was that it was just like it was the end. But I didn't know it was like the end of the sentence. So I just knew it was like the end of the conversation. I didn't know it was literally the end of the sentence.
If you want to put it in between, you should say arigato gozaimasu.
Yeah.
For ending.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, so you just say arigato gozaimasu for your time, arigato gozaimasu for your gift, for your service, arigato gozaimasu for anything. But if you say arigato gozaimashita, that cuts the sentence.
Okay. I see.
So maybe you can say, just say arigatou gozaimasu
Yeah.
for ending the interview, but and that makes perfect sense. But once you say arigatou gozaimashita, people assume it's over
Right away. Yeah, okay.
You know?
All right, that's
So,
good to know.
It's there's nothing wrong, Drake. I'm not right. I mean, it's like
No, it's
there's
just
nothing
it's
wrong
funny.
with
It's
what-
just funny though.
Yeah, it's just for me watching the fighter's reaction is so funny because I know you're closing, I know it's coming, and I know they're gonna hear arigatou gozaimashita, and it's just a response like arigatou gozaimashita, and they're like, oh,
Yeah.
should I say now or wait, right? So it's just one of that I personally catch. I don't know if anybody else catches it, but just me translating is just
You didn't tell me because you've just been getting a kick out of it. That's why.
No, time. Like how many times we've done this? Like 30, 40 times? Like
Yeah.
more than that, right?
A lot.
But yeah, I always thought about saying it to you, but it's
Not
maybe
a big deal.
It's not a big deal. No, it's not a big deal. It's
Yeah.
just it's one of those things. But it's one of those small things that would make you look better.
Right.
Which I mean, it's just a slight difference. So
Yeah.
It's
No, that's interesting though. I love that. Cool. All right. Well, thank you for telling me. And we've reached the end of yet another show, Shingo. Always good at times, catching up with everybody before the fights and whatnot. But that brings us to the community questions, of course, and good amount from people today, this episode. So appreciate all of you greatly. And we will start right off here with Charlie, who is asking about Hawaii first, saying kind of curious how the Hawaii show is coming along. Any developments there that can be shared, Shingo?
Yeah, we have been talking to the people to put on a show in Hawaii. But it's it's just a lack of the venues, right? It's just very hard to schedule dates. Yes, we the original plan was to do something in June. But we had to postpone it because lack of time, lack of preparation. If we're gonna do something in Hawaii, we wanted to collaborate with some other sports and some other cultures, and make this into like a big event. And if we were to do that, there's just so many other moving parts. So we just couldn't put all that together in in 4 months. So right now we're shooting for sometime in the fall.
Mm-hmm.
But if we cannot get a specific date, we're probably going to shoot for next spring. So it's either this fall or next spring. The idea is still there. And the boss is, determined to do it. So it's probably going to happen.
Cool. I mean, yeah, it's like only the Blaisdell's pretty much the best option, right?
And they are going under renovation starting May.
That doesn't help.
For shows. Yeah, so this Bellator show is going to be their last event that they're going to be hosting. Until renovation is done. Yeah.
Right. All right. So yeah, hopefully that doesn't take too long. But looking forward to whenever that does go down. So appreciate that question, Charlie. And he has one more asking: with Miyu retiring and Hamasaki in her 40s, what's the future of the super atomweight division look like? Well, I would say we're kind of already in the future of it, Shingo. I mean, with the likes of Seika on top, Siwoo Park, Sarioshima. I mean, it's a lot of youthful names who have risen up in the last, no pun intended, in the last couple years or so. And even Kana is still super young, even though she's racking up so much experience now. And as much as I love Hamasaki, it's like, I don't think she's getting passed by necessarily. She's still one of the best in the world, but you see this influx has already happened, I think. I think the future is now, Shingo, I would say, of the division.
Yeah, I would say we're right before the future. I mean, yes, we have the keys. We have the key players, but we don't have the story. Right before I'm taking off, launching into the next chapter of the women's super atomweight division, but we need to come up with a story because a lot of the players we have, the key players we have in the division have already fought each other so many times, right? So like, are we going to start a new routine all over? No, that's not going to create a new story. So in order to create a new story, we need one or two more key figures in the division to boost the momentum, you know. So I mean, for me personally, this has no personal feelings. As a matchmaker, I think if Vivi May beats Kana Asakura, that would make things more interesting.
Okay.
Because Kana has pretty much fought everybody in the division, right? Yeah. Vivi May is practically, she's very new to the division. It's her first fight. So,
but at the same time, a pioneer. Like, it's weird.
Correct. That's what I'm saying. It's kind of looping. It's all going to come back together. Maybe it might make sense to do May versus Hamasaki, right?
Would love to see it. Yeah.
May versus Rana. I mean, like, there's just so many things that she could bring to the table if she wins against Kana, right? So this is not personal. I'm just saying, for my job, it'd make things much more easier to create a story, to create new storylines with, you know, when the new fighters prevail.
Yeah. I hear you from that perspective, and it's a fairly big if, in my opinion, but I will see how that fight shakes out. It's gonna be a good one, though. Good to have, you know, new faces, no matter who they are, especially, I mean, someone of May Yamaguchi's experience, like I said. So that will be interesting. So thank you for your questions, Charlie. Appreciate you. As we move along to our community questions, MVP, you know who it is already, King CO24. I'm pretty sure if I was to look back, he has had questions for every single episode. So we appreciate you so much every single time, sir. As he starts off asking, has Ryzen looked into an English sponsor to help cover the English stream production costs to improve audio quality? Calling it out a little bit. No comment.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to plead the fifth, I guess.
I don't know. Is the fact that with an English sponsor do they even tie together?
No, I mean, any kind of sponsor would help.
Yeah,
sure. I mean, I do. I mean, because, you know, once the pandemic hit, many businesses has changed their format, right?
Yeah,
and I guess that's just part of it, you know. And the remote commentary is something that makes sense for us, and obviously improving the audio quality. Yes, that's something that we could do on hand, but it's never gonna beat the live commentary being on ringside and in the arena, whatnot. So, you know, I think it's a matter of time. Maybe we might need to build a little more international fighters. Maybe we need to build a little more presence internationally in order to bring back the commentary inside the arena. But right now, it's just one of those things where the companies change the way they operate based off of, you know, what happened with the pandemic and all. And some made sense financially, and some didn't, and some sticks. For us, the current style kind of makes sense at the moment. But, you know, we're not planning on staying that way. But I don't know. You caught me off guard.
It was King CO.
English sponsor definitely help. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, weren't we talking about? You guys were looking at that a little bit the last time we did the community questions. I feel like we touched on it a little bit last time.
The commentary.
Yeah, for like getting them over there. I don't know, but it is what it is. So anyway, his next question is back on Miyu. He's saying Miyu was forced to pull out of the Seikezawa fight. Unfortunately, now Seike is fighting in Deep Jewels. Yes, back there. Deep Jewels, 41 at the end of May. Instead of being rescheduled for a later event like Rise in Hokkaido. Did that come about because she is signed to Deep Management and it is Deep Jewels' first show on Unext streaming?
No, it has nothing to do with it. I mean, from our point of view, like who would we have Izawa fight? You know, that's just one of those questions. Who would be a good replacement to have Izawa fight?
You know my answer to this.
It's not.
Yeah. Well, that's perfect then, because his third question is, what is the status of Saryoshima?
Well, I'm not gonna say it's not gonna happen, right? There's just you know, a few obstacles that stand in our way in order for that fight to happen. And yeah, I mean, if those obstacles, if those issues could be solved, I think resolved, it could happen.
Yeah. Yes.
It's more like political stuff
Yeah.
than anything.
All right, because I mean, it makes sense merit-wise in rankings and just looking at the division, I would say, and they're both champions, Deep Jewels, and obviously second Ryzen, all this about it, but yeah.
Some people just cannot get along.
This is true. Who would have thought? Fighters. Yeah, so we appreciate you as always, King CO24. Some good off-guard catching ones there this time around as we move along to Janik Nowinski. Appreciate, I think, first time from him. Thank you so much. As he is asking opinions on Kuramoto versus Ota. Who would win under 80cc rules? So I'm not 100% fully sure what exactly the rules, all the rules are of that, of the 80cc, but I don't know. I feel like, of course, you can't say who you think's going to win, Shingo, but it's...
I don't know why they should be fighting in 80cc rules. I can't see them in 50-50 positions. I can't see them working any of those positions. Yeah.
I know.
I think he's going to be aggressive.
Yeah.
I can't imagine being in a 50-50 position doing grappling. Just But the thing, I think Ota maybe. I think he's just so much stronger.
Yeah, I mean, and just his wrestling abilities in general. It's like it's not night and day because Kuramoto's very good as well. But I mean, when you're looking at the natural, elements of wrestling and whatnot, it's
they've competed against each other during wrestling in Japan, and Kuramoto's beat Ota in the past.
Oh, okay, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, yeah, they have. I think they've competed like 2 or 3 times against each other. They hate each other.
Oh.
There's a lot. Oh yeah, there's a lot of hate between these two.
He didn't even indicate that at all. Interesting.
Yeah, but there's a lot of bad blood between these two. It's really interesting.
That fight was supposed to happen last year, wasn't it? Am I remembering right? Kuramoto got hurt?
I don't think it was signed. We were talking about it, but it was definitely in.
It might have been a different one of his fights.
The timing,
I think.
Yeah, but the talk has always been.
Yeah. Okay.
Kuramoto's like for us.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, that was already gonna be fun, but yeah, interesting to think about the 80cc aspect there, Janik. Thank you for that. As his next question is, still no Grand Prix was announced as of the last press conference, I think is when he asked this. Will there be one, and in which weight class? Well, I think of course there's gonna be one eventually. Just a matter of when it will be, and everything has kind of seems like featherweight has been the weight class hinted at for a while. Shingo, I mean, yeah, that's what it seems like.
And this is one of the unique things I've learned, that this is definitely one of the unique things that happen in Japan, is that, for tournaments and whatnot, like, I don't know if this is a Japan thing or like a Sakakibara thing, right? But we wait until the very, like, I don't know, like it's more of a storytelling thing, right?
Right.
So you have to wait for results in order to tell the new story. You can't, because it's not pro wrestling, right? It's not scripted. You can have all these ideas, but if the fight before that doesn't go your way, you can't really go the same way. You can't force yourself to go this way when you're counting on one fighter A to win.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, like, I describe Sakakibara's promoting styles like a chef. So, you know how there's like certain ingredients that are good, that are superb in certain times of the year.
Okay.
And you don't know what's out there on the market. It's like the market value chef's dish. Like, you don't know what's out there, but you go to the market and you buy the best items, produce or vegetables, the best stuff out there, and then you bring it back home and you kind of think about what to make with it. Or while you're purchasing the produce or whatever it is, like you're getting ideas and whatnot. So everything is different at certain times.
Yeah.
Does this make sense?
No, yeah,
Like,
I like
you
this.
have to-
Great comparisons today.
You have to flow and create the best dish you can with what's given.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how we kind of roll. That's why we're so slow with matchmaking, is because we wait until see how we can make the best dish.
Right.
So that's why we really emphasize on the storytelling, but we also have to wait, and we have to like come up with so many scenarios because there's a lot of moving parts, and we wait until what's what. So right now, the featherweight division is on fire. The flyweight division is getting interesting. The bantamweight division, we still have those key players. I think a few more new names in the bantamweight division, and the bantamweight division will still remain interesting as well.
Oh, yeah.
So, it's just figuring out what will be the biggest hit. What division is the division that people will want to see? So we're kind of testing the waters. We're seeing the reactions. And we're probably going to come up with the best solution, or not solution, but best tournament if there's one.
Yeah.
For this year, so I would say featherweight or flyweight. Yeah, you're probably on point, but yeah, that's what we're looking at.
All right. So yeah, that I think that all makes very good sense. I think you laid it out pretty good. Like I said, some great comparisons so far today. But,
yeah. Analogy today.
Yeah, for sure. All right, and then he asks about Miura versus Yaman. What are Miura's chances here? Well, I'm honestly not super familiar with him. Obviously, he is still very young, just like 20 years old, Kota Miura. But I mean, I kind of have to lean Yaman because of his experience, but not to say that Miura doesn't have any chance at all. I haven't really seen enough of him to say how much of a chance that he does have. But yeah, I mean, what how excited are you for this matchup? I guess, Shingo. What would you say?
I'm with you. I haven't seen him. I haven't seen enough of him against legitimate fighters.
Yeah.
So I don't know what he can do. I don't know what he can't do. So it's just more like we'll put him out there and see what happens.
Yeah.
I mean, I usually go out there and break down fights, but this one is just, it's like you don't have enough information. You don't know how much Yama can do. You don't know how much like real fighting Kota can do, So, but I do know that definitely Miura definitely has the edge on grappling.
Mm-hmm.
So, when you have a solid striker that doesn't know anything is very green to grappling, and you have somebody who's a decent striker and has decent grappling, a lot of times the grappling can be a major advantage, right?
Mm.
If he can get the takedown.
Right.
So, to answer your questions, like we just don't have enough data to even break down the fight, so it's just one of those things where you just put it in there and see what happens.
Yeah. Exactly. Simulate it in the video game.
We should stick some aluminum foil in the microwave and see what happens.
I think it'll explode. So that's a good excitement.
Yep.
But, all right. And then he continues asking about kickboxing, asking, should Rizin kickboxing fights take place in MMA gloves / open finger gloves? Which would be copying a little bit of somebody out over there. But I mean, I personally, my whole thing with, I think we've talked about this before. I'm sure that we have, Shingo, whether it's off or on air. But the one thing I don't like about having MMA gloves / open finger gloves for kickboxing, or just a striking match, is that it creates the possibility of eye pokes for no reason. So just for that, I don't like it. I like small gloves, yeah, because of course it's it's more fun to have small gloves. But
there been any eye pokes during like open finger glove kickboxing matches? I haven't seen. I haven't seen.
They're not super common still. I mean, it's probably about as often as, I'm a little bit less often, I guess, than MMA fights. But yeah, I've seen them before, and it's just like, We could have avoided this.
Yeah, I've never understood the point of kickboxing in open finger gloves. Just make small gloves.
Yeah.
Like, why do you, you're not going to grapple.
Yeah, exactly.
Why the hell is our kickboxers using open finger gloves when they're not going to grapple? Just make small gloves. I don't, maybe they just want to say open finger gloves or MMA gloves in kickboxing. I don't know, but I just never understood the logic behind it.
Yeah.
And for your reason too, because it does create additional accidental eye pokes for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just say, if you want to see brutal fights, bare knuckle,
Yeah.
or just small gloves. You don't have to bring in MMA gloves for kick fights.
Exactly.
That's my personal opinion, but regardless, smaller gloves, the more violent. So I understand why it's becoming a trend, but will Ryzen do it? I don't think so.
Yeah, I do not either.
We've been doing enough weird crap already. So
well, we only have so many left in the tank. So, all right, and then he moves it along here, asking, "Do you honestly believe Ren has chances with?" He said Ito, but I'm assuming he means Saito, obviously, because that's the fight that's happening. I mean, somebody as good of a striker and with the knockout power that Ren has, I think I'm willing to say that he has, a chance against anybody. And I'm always a person who never likes to say somebody has no chance at all. Everybody has at least 1% chance in MMA, Shingo, because you can always land that shot or get lucky in some way, catch a neck, who knows what it is. So Ren, of course, has a chance, to beat Saito. Should he be favored? Absolutely not. I mean, Saito, former champion, experience edge. Ren is still very, very new to MMA and learning, but looking great in recent performances. So I think that he has a much better chance than if he would have got this fight, let's say, a fight or two ago. But I do believe he does have a chance, but I don't think he'll win. That's my opinion. But yeah, he's got a chance for sure. So
I think this is a horrendous matchmaking and great matchmaking at the same time.
Okay.
It's when you look at it on paper, it's just ridiculous. It's ludicrous.
But that's what Ren wants, though, right? We've talked about this too.
I mean, you've got the former Shuto and the former Ryzen champion, over 30 professional fights. Then you got a 2-2 kid kickboxer, who's proven his 2 losses. He got dominated on the ground, proved that he has no ground skills. Like, on paper, it's just terrible. Why the hell would you put this together? But like you said, there's always a striker's chance, right? There's always a striker's chance, and Ren is superb at what he does.
Yeah.
And it showed in the Yamasu fight.
Yes.
Like, if Saito really needs to be careful, because if he half commits to anything in closing distance, he's gonna get shot down. And he's gonna get hit big time. So I think it's the range.
Yeah.
Leading up to short range, Ren has the upper hand because the fight always starts standing. And Ren can always have that distance. So no matter how it is, the fight is gonna start favoring Ren.
Mm-hmm.
And it's gonna be up to Saito to turn it into a fight that Saito prefers, which is super close distance, take it to the ground. And I think the key point is, will he be able to do that? And that's the main part. So if Saito is able to close distance and get Ren down in the first round, I think it's just all over from there. Yeah. And Saito gets comfortable on how to take Ren down, I think it's just beginning of the end. But if he cannot do that, he's gonna be in a lot of trouble. Mm-hmm. So it all comes down to how good Ren has become, how good his takedown defense has become, and that's it. I think if it goes to the ground, I don't think Ren can get back up. Right. Saito's super good at not letting guys up. So if he gets taken up, if he gets up, that's another wow factor, right? It's kind of like how we just saw Hagiwara versus Kyle Agwan. we all thought that it was over in round 1, but it was you never know. You never know how these kids these days, or these young fighters these days, they evolved really quick.
Sounded like Dana right there. They're calling everyone a kid.
I'm getting old, man. But yeah, I mean, to answer the question, I don't know. On paper, Saito
but
should
that's why it's fun, though. That's why it's actually fun.
I know. That's why I'm saying it's absurd matchmaking, but it's also great matchmaking.
Yeah.
So I'm actually excited about this. It's really. I'm not proud to say this, but I am actually excited for this fight. I'm very excited, intrigued.
Yes, definitely. So it is going to be interesting. And last one for Janik here. He's asking regarding Ren still. He says he has a second stylistically difficult opponent for him in a row, as we just touched on there. Do you believe we will see Kyohei rematch him in the future, or Ren will get another wrestler/experienced fighter after this fight? Well, I think we kind of have to see how it goes first, and then obviously see what happens afterward. But I think I'd be fairly surprised if there isn't a Hagiwara rematch at some point. Don't know when, but that feels like a pretty good story to run back, depending on how things go with both their careers. But yeah, I could see that happening, Shingo.
Yeah, as a storyteller, that is definitely one of the things that we should do. Again, but based off of how these two's career take off, right, from here. So that's definitely one of the things that we should consider. And it just goes back to, the storytelling and just Sakakibara-san being the chef, the matchmakers being on the line, on the cook line. But yeah, it just all comes down to timing, and I think it would make sense because both fighters represent the younger generation, and they have a huge following too.
Yeah,
and we were surprised how popular both Hagiwara and Hiramoto were. It was quite amazing. Did you watch the most recent Horizon Confessions episode 119?
I have not gotten to it yet. No.
That question would be. This topic, Hagiwara versus Hiramoto discussion, would become a lot more interesting after you watch that episode.
Okay, all right, I will get right on it.
If we want to talk about Hagiwara and Ren Hiramoto, we should talk about this after we watch 119.
All right, we will circle back to it then after the fight and after getting on that. So appreciate you, Janik, for the round of questions. There's some good ones, some very thought-provoking ones. As we move along, about to close up here, but Jay Wolf gave us 3, but we already answered his first 2, so look at that. People are on the same page, but his last of his bunch is, when is the next collab mega event with Bellator or individual collab bouts like on 42? Well, I would assume that, going to kind of save those things for the end of the year, Shingo, but if there's any other individual plans like he's mentioning, I do not know.
Yeah, well, I mean, we talk all the time. Anything could happen, and I think we should leave it there. Anything could happen at any time, and it's just that kind of relations that we have. I'll be heading over to Hawaii next week to support Kana, and we just there's a lot of good things. Good communications going on.
A lot of cooking.
A lot of cooking.
There we go. The chefs are in the kitchen, baby. So, all right. And Ozeki Jim is going to finish us off here with just 2 quick ones. Asking, is there any further news on the time frame for Pacquiao and Rizin? Shingo, anything there? And then also, he says last year they were talking about a potential show in Azerbaijan. Is that still on the to-do list as well?
Wow, you guys remember a lot of stuff. Okay, so one is Pacquiao. Yes, we are planning to shoot for. Hopefully, we can do something in the summertime. If not, we might push it back to New Year's Eve. But yeah, we're definitely in talks with Pacquiao and very close to finalizing a specific date and opponent.
All right.
2 is that yes, there has been some talks about doing shows in Azerbaijan. Actually, it's been going on for a while, but it just kind of got stalled due to the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
But now, yes, the communications have restarted again. I think I'm not sure what the title is. Like the chief officer of sports, the sports administration department was watching Ryzen 41, and he personally congratulated the coach of Karamov and Mamet. So the coach was like, "Hey, you guys got to come to Baku and talk to these people. You know, they want to fully support." So Sakakibara-san and myself probably will be heading out to Baku sometime this year to see what can be done. So we'll be talking to them sometime soon.
All right. Very exciting. Traveling man getting around, Shingo. So I'll see what develops all there. But that will close out this round of community questions, as I think Shingo froze on us here.
Really?
Oh, you did on this. You were on the screen frozen, but okay, there we go. All good. So that wraps up episode 26 of Broadened Horizon. Thank you so much, everybody, for asking a good round of questions. Great guests as always. Looking forward to all their fights and what is coming up in the future for 2023 and Ryzen and beyond. So, appreciate everyone tuning in as always, and we will catch you next time. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff on the channel and Ryzen's channels and every bit of content that everyone's putting out involved here. So, appreciate you guys greatly, and we will see you next time. Arigatou gozaimashita. I had to do it.
There you go. That was perfect.